Okay, so this one was a little more controversial or interesting than the last one we just saw. So, what'd you think right off the bat? First impressions?
Violated.
Why?
Uh, nah, I'm just joking. But just talking in the beginning, it kind of talks about how, what is it, Kyle?
Yeah.
Stan. Yeah,
Which one? The one with the red hat or the green hat?
the red hat.
Yes, that's Stan.
Okay, so Stan, he has his gay dog, I guess,
Yeah.
which it's occasionally seen. It's confusion, or they just have some, like people. I guess they can't really masturbate like people, so they just have built up tension. And sometimes they get confused, and
Yeah.
that's what was happening with the dog. But they made this whole thing where, eventually the dog ran away, and they were saying it's because he's gay and he runs away to like big gay owls, like big gay animal, like what shelter or is it? Palace?
Sanctuary.
Yeah, sanctuary, but it's like a palace, so it's
Yeah.
it's interesting. Just kind of weird. So okay. Um, and then I guess the other plot of the story is just there's a football game that's going on, which typically in an elementary school, which is that they are in. I remember they occasionally doing flag football, but no like real like hardcore football. There was no like real competitive stuff that went on. It was just like at recess occasionally.
Yeah. Do you like the joke that they're betting on a like an elementary game, like it's like a real sporting event?
Well, some people are really into sports and they will do that. So I believe it. Yeah.
And I noticed that the bookie place was like they did that joke where it's like really thin on like small at the outside, but it was like huge on the inside for some reason. It doesn't
Yeah.
even make sense. Yeah. But what do you think of the sports? The commentator who kept saying like controversial things, like he's like, oh, I haven't seen such a beating since Rodney King. That was when the cops like beat the African American to death in L.A. in like the I think it was the '90s, early '90s.
So you mean like the modern thing? Would be like I haven't seen such a being since George Floyd.
Yeah, like a police brutality case. Yeah.
Yeah.
All his edgy references, the Poland,
Yeah.
1938. Yeah.
I found that funny, and
Yeah.
I find it funny how like the commentators like stop. That's why we keep getting like
Yeah, getting in trouble.
getting in
Yeah.
trouble. It's like real funny because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the football subplot was pretty good actually. I think this is one where I think I like the subplot more than the main plot. I feel like this one's a little too preachy maybe
Maybe
in
yeah.
terms of like the message about, homosexuality, and then they use the dog as like, an example of like whatever, just like anti-homosexual like bias.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of the boat ride where they made fun of what was it, like Christians and Republicans? They said they're the oppressors and they put them like next to Hitler.
Well, as a Republican and a Christian, I don't like. Yes, the only reason that the Christians are, I guess, the oppressors is because the Bible says that homosexuality is wrong. So it's literally in our like religious doctrine, I guess you could say. But then you can look at the Republicans being like conservative and like taking the old school conservative values as back when that wasn't really a thing
Yeah.
or wasn't really accepted is something. So I can understand that, but religion like that's just part of our doctrine. But the Republicans, it's like old school grandpa where he's like back in my day I used to call people certain words that we can't say now, or it's like back in my day like you would have been like beaten in the streets. It's like okay, grandpa, that was your time. This time is not that.
It's two separate groups though. You think like the
Yeah.
Christians, they believe it because it's part of the philosophy,
Yes.
and then conservatives, some of them are just more like they're just set in their ways because they're old,
Yeah.
and they don't want to like update their views for like the modern era.
No,
Yeah.
not really. That's just kind of how it's been.
Yeah.
Uh, I find it funny at the very end they call it an almost win.
Oh yeah.
When like South Park had 6 points.
They just had to beat the spread though. They just had to.
I know,
not
but
get
that's
zero.
that's not an almost win. You beat the spread, but that's nowhere close to an almost win.
Yeah, but that's what they're just going for the exaggerated humor on that. But yeah, what'd you think of the Jesus and Pals, the public access show? You like how he's just a character? He just exists. Do you think that's sacrilegious?
No,
Like, do you think it's offensive or?
no, I don't.
No.
I don't care. Maybe the Catholics would, but as a Christian, I think like it's there all the time.
Yeah.
Hell, I grew up watching. I grew up watching VeggieTales,
Oh yeah.
and they would sometimes have the characters dressed up as Jesus. So if I thought that was better, then I would have hated it back then. But
I guess yeah.
Yeah, no, I see it's just perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's just, what goes on.
Yeah. That's kind of a standard like thing to do in like a cartoon like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. This episode doesn't like I don't really care about it too much because I don't like even have an opinion on homosexuality one way or the other,
Yeah.
Like they're just people. I don't know, they're just people, They just do their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
My only gripe with them is like, when they're trying to force like, their like ideologies down my throat, then I'm gonna get pissed.
Yeah.
But like as long as like you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. That's my ideology. Is like, if you don't if like I'm not forcing anything down your throat, but if you try and force your stuff down my throat, then there's gonna be a problem, and then I will, have a problem with you.
No, this was the '90s too, before everyone was like as divisive, so it didn't really matter.
I know, but even still, like it's watching this in 2025, I still, like people nowadays will try and force it down your throat, like in schools and all that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I hate it when you do that stuff. I'm not a big fan of that.
I mean, the only thing is just like the character design for Big Al, like his nipples like sticking out. I think it's kind of gross. Like,
I guess
it's a little much.
You could also do that for like some like fat sweaty nerd.
Yeah.
Who's in like a fucking wife beater.
Yeah. And what do you think? Do you think Mr. Garrison is gay? They were talking about that.
I don't know. I think he says he acts like it just for like getting women.
Yeah.
But I thought I saw
like he's trying too hard to
prove that he's straight. I saw a clip later on in the show where he is.
Oh, okay.
Isn't he?
Well, I don't want to give it away. So, but what do you think?
I think I saw a clip. So
yeah,
I think he could just be like pretending he's not because it's not accepted.
Yeah.
At the time in the show.
Yeah.
But I think later on down the line, I think he's. From what I've seen, I think he will come out.
Yeah. But this is more of a more kind of, I guess, I think this episode actually won an award or something. So this is like one of the more like early successes compared to some of the other ones. This one's like more of a significant one from the early seasons, from the first season. So, but yeah, it won some kind of award for like gay awareness or something, or like a TV award. Yeah. And then yeah, another thing I noticed, there are actually like two characters that are in the show a lot later. Token, the black kid, he was in this, but he was white for some reason. So they had like an early version of him, and then they had an early version of Butters, the blonde kid who always gets grounded. They had he was like a baby in this one though for some reason. So they had like little prototypes for characters that come into the show a lot later, which I found interesting.
Yeah,
a little bit of the lore. And then there was Pip, the British kid. What do you think of him?
I don't know.
He comes into play in later episodes. Yeah.
I don't know. I just found it funny how he's just like, no matter what, he can't get a helmet.
Yeah. Yeah, the running gag is that no one likes him. Yeah. All right, let's pause this for now. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it, right? I'd give it like that one gets like a 6.5.
Yeah, I guess we didn't rate the last one either.
Yeah, we did. I gave it a 5. I don't know what you gave it. But...
I don't think I even rated it.
Well, you can rate it now if you want.
I guess for the last one, I just didn't think it was all that there, so I don't know, like a 4. And for this one, it had some funny moments. So I don't know, like.
I like the commentary. I like
the commentary is funny.
It's funny. Yeah.
I don't know.
I thought the Kenny death was pretty good in this one too.
Yeah.
It was pretty brutal.
I don't know. I'd say a 7, I guess.
7. Yeah. Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
So I think that's that.